Welcome to day 29. Today is a challenging class and we're going to have a bit of a tutorial and a preparation for a strong standing posture known as bird of paradise. I had one student who called it bird of prey because she felt like it was pretty challenging until over time she practiced and she began to understand the mechanics of the posture. So this is something that you can come back to again and again. It's meant to challenge you, to kind of entice you, and to keep practicing and unfolding your body. So today I want you to start in a wide stance. We will need a strap and a block, but you can set those aside. So go ahead and separate your feet nice and wide on your mat. Take your hands to your hips. Your toes are going to turn forward towards the long edge of your mat. Pull your elbows back. Take a big inhale. Pull your pelvis down. Lift your rib cage up. And exhale, start to hinge forward and just come into a standing forward bend. Drop your head. Place your hands down. Spread your fingers on the mat. Feel your inner thighs rotate back behind you. Micro bend your knees and pull the muscles of the legs up. From your sitting bones, reach down into your heels and drop your brain. Just feel the legs really strong here, beginning to open up. Take a deep breath in and trickle the spine down towards the earth. Remembering all of the grounding that we've been doing this last month, keeping that in mind, keeping that embodied as you practice today. And then go ahead and press into your hands, turn your toes out, and bend your right knee. Come into Skandasana. So I'm going to send my inner thighs back. Start to drop down into this right knee as much as you can. You can pivot the left toes up and you can start to drop the pelvis down. My heel is slightly hovering and that's okay. You can lift the heel up higher if you need to, but do start to send the weight back into your right heel and then reach your right hand forward. My left hand is sort of propping up inside the thigh. Walk and spider finger your right hand out. And now stay low, bowing inside the leg and take your right hand out to the side. Maybe turn your palm up, bend your elbow, and reach back behind your right hip. You can stay here or your left hand can also come back and you can begin to bind. Pull your thigh in by binding yourself together. Take a breath, inhale. Exhale, belly back, drop in. Release the bind, press into your hands, lift your hips up, and walk your hands over to your left foot. Send your inner thighs back, start to bend your left knee. Remember, you can stay right here at any point. You can kind of get off the bus. This might be your best stop today. Turn your right kneecap, right toes up. Start to drop the hips down if that's appropriate. And then just pause and sort of notice. Check out what's there. I'm using my right hand to prop myself up here, and then left arm is going to reach forward. Take a breath. Stay. Good. And then decide, do you want to go a little further? Do you want to work on the bind? Turn your palm up, reach out to the left, bow forward, press your low belly back to your spine, and then if you want, bend your left elbow, reach for the back of your left hip. You can stay there, or you can bring your fingers and interlace and bind. Pull yourself together. Take a breath. Exhale. Release the bind. Inhale, lift your chest, lift the hips, and walk back into Prasarita Padottanasana. So toes face the long edge of your mat and bow forward. Inhale, lift your chest, walk your hands over to your left foot, spin both feet to the front of the room. We're coming into lizard. Walk your left foot off to the left, toes out, heel in. Lift your right thigh bone up and press your left heel print down. Take an inhale here, lengthen your spine. As you exhale, you could stay, or maybe you start to bring your elbows down. You could also use a block underneath the elbows at any height. Take an inhale. Your right thigh bone is not sagging. It's picking up into the hamstring. As you dial this left hip back, take another breath. Exhale completely. Walk your hands back underneath you, and then walk sideways on your mat again. Walk to your right foot. Walk your right foot off the mat, toes out, heel in, so your heel will stay on the mat, and then bring your hands underneath you. Pick your left thigh bone up into the hamstring and dial your right outer hip back. Slide your chest forward and lengthen. Don't sag your pelvis here. Keep lifting your thigh bone up, dial your right hip back, and decide if you want to stay there or elbows to blocks or floor. Keep smearing your spine forward towards your hands. Exhale, belly back. Take another breath. Exhale completely. Good, and then walk your hands back up underneath you. Turn sideways on your mat and release into your forward fold. Wide leg forward fold. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Good. Bring your hands underneath you. Walk over to your left foot. Spin both feet to the front of the room. Downward facing dog. Step your right foot outside your right hand. Keep your right toes forward this time, and then feel this left thigh bone lift up. Feel your right thigh bone push down. Spread your toes. Inhale, lengthen your spine. And then start to drop your chest down without releasing your pelvis down. Your right hand is going to come behind your foot or to the baby toe side of your foot. Draw your belly back and drop your head. This is a strong pose. Maybe your right hand comes to your right foot. Maybe your left hand comes to your foot as well. Maybe you reach your arms behind you as you press your right shoulder into your right shin. Take a breath, step into your right foot. Exhale, belly back. Release your hands, come back to downward facing dog. Notice the release. Inhale. Exhale. Push your thigh bones back into your hamstrings. Step your left foot outside your left hand. Lengthen your spine. Inhale. Exhale. Keep the pelvis lifting, but drop your chest down. Keep inhaling. Right thigh bone is lifting up. Left thigh bone is rooting down into your hamstring. So our legs are moving in different directions, but our thigh bones, no matter what, are still moving into the hamstring. So my right thigh bone is lifting to the sky. My left thigh bone is pushing down into the ground. That helps stabilize you. Take your left shoulder underneath your left knee. Slide your left hand to the baby toe side of your foot. And then put your left hand on your left foot. Maybe right hand to foot and pull yourself together. If you want, you could take both arms out to the side, push your shoulder into the shin, draw your belly back, keep thinking left thigh bone down, right thigh bone up. Release your hands, place them on the floor, downward facing dog. Take a breath. Exhale completely. Good. Come to tabletop for a moment. Turn sideways on your mat and take a seat into Upavistha Konasana. Open your legs out. You don't have to be much beyond 90 degrees here. Activate your legs. Take your fingertips behind you. Lift your sternum. And then exhale. Start to walk the hands forward. Keep the knees and the toes looking up. So for some bodies, just a gentle bow forward is enough. Your pubic bone needs to keep moving back as you walk forward. Don't worry about how far you go. What we're looking for is just something interesting to stay with. Stretching through the inner thighs. The inseam of your thighs are dropping down, but your toes and your knees are still looking up at the ceiling. Take one more breath. Keep your feet active. Exhale. And then walk your hands underneath you. Grab the backs of your knees and pull your feet together. Go ahead and step back to downward dog. Good. And then walk or hop your feet to the top of your mat. Deep forward bend. Rise to stand. Inhale. And bring your hands to your heart. Good. Go ahead and grab your block. And we're going to practice some of this lifting mechanism from coming to the floor up to standing. So Bird of Paradise is a standing posture. Separate your feet, bend your knees, and I'm going to bring the block into my right inner thigh. So it's angled down here. And then I'm going to take my right upper arm and send it against the block as well. Now, I have to play a little tug of war with myself. So my thigh is squeezing in and my elbow is pushing out into the block. I'm going to peel my right heel up, keep those two actions, draw the belly back, push this left thigh bone into my hamstring as I start to come up. Inhale here. You'll notice the standing thigh wants to pop forward. Root your thigh bone back. Take a breath, practice. Set it down nice and slow. And let's change sides. Come on up. Take a moment. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Being mindful of your low back. Sometimes our back will take over when we're not really grounded in our legs. So keep accessing your legs, even if it means you have to back off a bit. So we'll take the block now and place it on the inside of the left thigh. I've got my feet separated, and then my left upper arm bone is going to come inside, and it's a shoving match here. So my arm is going, go that way, and my knee and my thigh are going, no, go this way. Your standing foot toes are forward. Peel your left heel up, sneak it in, find that sort of shoving match again. Draw your belly back. Push this right thigh bone back as you start to lift up. Pushing thigh bone into hand, thigh bone into block, block into thigh bone. Draw the belly back, standing thigh back, and then with control, slowly lower down. Good. Release the block. Come to stand. So, that is your modification. If that was challenging, I encourage you to keep doing that, to keep practicing, because otherwise we're going to come into a more expression variation of Bird of Paradise. So we're going to separate the feet, soften the knees. So the great thing is that this is on video. You can rewind it and go back to that first variation. If this one you're like, no thank you. Soften your knees, fold forward. Now, I have a strap nearby just in case you need it. Sometimes it's nice to extend the arms when we can't quite find the clasp. So I'm in a nice deep forward bend, and I'm going to start to thread my right arm underneath me. Just like we did in the lunge, I'm going to walk my hands behind, my right hand behind my right heel, and then I'm going to grab my calf. I call this putting on your backpack. So I'm going to bow forward and try to bring my shoulder underneath my right calf and bring my right fingers to the floor. My left hand is going to grab the strap and I'm going to bring it behind myself and I'm going to try to grab the strap here. So my left hand is behind me, my right hand underneath me. If you don't need the strap, you'll create a bind with the hands and then draw your belly back. Peel your right heel up. Now, remember when the block was in your inner thigh. Find that little tug of war with yourself. Root your left thigh bone back. Draw your belly back and start to pick up your right foot. Inhale here. Send your left thigh bone back. Oops. Fall out of it if you need to. Let's try it again. Left thigh bone back. Send the left thigh bone back, back, back to the wall behind you. Notice how that helps me bow forward. That helps me straighten my right leg, and then scoop the right sitting bone underneath you. And then slowly bend the knee, place the foot down, release, and forward fold. Take a breath. Exhale, releasing your head, releasing your brain. Come up halfway, inhale. Exhale, let's try again. Separate your feet. Soften your knees. Take your left shoulder and drop it down. And then walk your left hand behind your heel, grab your calf, and sort of pull yourself under and think that you have a backpack that you're strapping on your shoulder. Now, your right hand, if you have the strap, take it behind you. And then hold the strap with your left hand and your right hand, and you're going to walk your hands together. Maybe you create a bind. And then ground into your right foot. Pull your belly back, squeeze your thigh and your upper arm together, and pick up your left heel. Draw your belly back. Push your left thigh bone back, look forward, and slowly, maybe, start to lift the left heel. Take an inhale. As you exhale, push your right thigh bone back. Maybe you start to straighten the left leg. Take an inhale. Exhale. And then slowly start to lower down. Place the foot down. Release the arms. Drop your head. Drop your brain. Exhale completely. Take another breath. And then slowly make your way to tabletop. And you should have your block again. And let's grab it and place it between the inner upper thighs. Squeeze your block with your inner thighs and come into cat-cow really slowly. Inhale. So sometimes when we do some of these bigger standing postures, exhale, round your spine. The back gets a little cranky, so we're just clearing up the spine here. Squeeze the block with your thighs, inhale, and exhale, round. Good, one more, inhale. Squeeze the block here, exhale, round. Good, neutralize your spine. Release the block. Slowly lower your feet to the floor, lower your hips to the floor, and stretch your legs behind you or in front of you. Sit up on your sitting bones, soften your knees a bit. Let's use the block again. Take the block between your calves. Inhale, lift your chest. Notice my knees are bent, but my thighs are still pushing down. And then walk yourself forward here. Gently bring your forehead to the block. Inhale and exhale. Take one final breath. Place your fingers down, lift your chest. Keep your block, but lie on your back. As you lie on your back, bend your knees. You'll take your block and slide it underneath your hips. Just so you can see here. So I've got the block right at my sacrum. And you can either place the block on the low setting or the medium setting. What I want you to feel though is that your pelvis is dropping down. That there's a sense of weightiness, of earthiness, of heaviness in the low back. Take a couple of breaths. Every exhale, sink a little closer to the floor. Take another inhale and exhale. Good. And then anchor your feet down, lift your pelvis, lower down. And then make your way into Shavasana. Let your arms and legs relax for a moment. Turn your palms down. Feel your body heavy and soft in a good way. Our ability to show up and to challenge ourselves in our practice is meant to inspire us. Our ability to show up and try hard, new, weird things is helpful in keeping our mind open and asking our body to continue to unfold and adapt. So we're never basing our yoga practice on whether or not we can come into crazy, weird, bound up shapes. But truly the advancement of our practice is our willingness to try, but also our capacity to take really good care of ourselves. Yoga is sometimes about saying no. So balancing the yes and the no. Just noticing that inside your body right now. Take another moment here. Feel free to stay a little longer. If you're ready to finish up, bend your knees, roll over to your side, and rise up to sitting. Thank you so much for accepting this challenge today. I hope you step into the rest of your day with a sense of grounding and stability, but also with the possibility of expanding. Namaste.